Before the earth was formed, before the sun knew its place, before time began to tick, there was God, and there was silence. But God, in his infinite nature, desired to share his glory. He desired a family. He desired a symphony. And so the first act of creation was not the dirt of the earth, but the spirits of the heavens. The angelic host, myriads upon myriads, beings of pure energy, intellect, and power. They were created to serve, to govern the cosmos, and above all, to worship the source of their life. But among this ocean of light, there was one who stood apart, one who was crafted with a precision and a beauty that stunned even the angels. He was not born, he was made, and he was made to be the masterpiece. The prophet Ezekiel draws back the curtain of time to describe him. He calls him the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. He was the anointed cherub who covers. This suggests a position of proximity. He stood closer to the burning glory of God than any other creature. He was the guardian of the throne. The scriptures tell us that his very workmanship was made of timbrels and pipes. Some theologians believe this means he wasn't just a guard, he was the conductor. He was the worship leader of heaven. When God moved, Lucifer resonated. He was a living instrument designed to take the glory of God and reflect it back as praise. His name, Hillel ben Sahar, means the shining one, or the morning star. He was the light bearer. Understand this. He was not evil. He was not flawed. He was the pinnacle of created existence. But beauty is a dangerous thing for a creature. Because if you stare at the mirror long enough, you forget that the light you see is only a reflection. How does a perfect being in a perfect environment with no tempter and no sin suddenly break? The Bible calls this the mystery of iniquity. It wasn't an external virus, it was a spontaneous generation of a new idea. Lucifer began to look at his wisdom, his beauty, and his influence over the other angels, and a thought formed, a seed of madness. Why am I a servant? Why do I reflect light when I shine so brightly on my own? In Isaiah 14, the inner monologue of the morning star is revealed. 5 statements, 5 steps to destruction. First, he said, I will ascend into heaven. Now, Lucifer was already an angel. He was already in the spiritual realm. So what did he mean? He meant he was not content with his assigned station. Even though he was the anointed cherub, the highest rank possible, he felt restricted. He wanted access to the supreme control center of the universe, the very dwelling place of the Father. This is the sin of dissatisfaction. It is the refusal to accept the boundaries God has placed on your existence. Second, he said, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. In the ancient scriptures, stars is often a poetic term for angels. Lucifer was a servant leader among the angels, but here he reveals his true desire. By saying he would exalt his throne above them, he was declaring a hierarchy shift. He no longer wanted to be a fellow servant, he wanted to be their king. He wanted the angelic host to serve him rather than God. This is the sin of tyranny, the desire to rule over others for your own ego rather than to serve them for their good. Third, he said, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. The mount of the congregation refers to the place of divine assembly, the cosmic supreme court where God meets with his council to set the laws and destiny of the universe. Lucifer didn't just want a throne, he wanted the gavel. He wanted to be the one who makes the rules, determines morality, and decides the future. He wanted to legislate reality. This is the sin of lawlessness, the desire to be the final authority on what is right and wrong, independent of God's truth. Fourth, he said, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds." Throughout the Bible, clouds symbolize the Shekinah glory, the visible presence of God's majesty. Lucifer wanted the aura of God. He wanted to be worshipped. He wanted the awe, the reverence, and the shine that belongs only to the Creator. He wanted creatures to look at him and tremble with the same reverence they held for the Almighty. This is the sin of idolatry of the self, stealing the glory that belongs exclusively to God. And finally, the fifth step, the ultimate delusion, I will be like the Most High. Notice closely, he did not say, I will be the Most High. Lucifer is not stupid. He knows he is a created being. He cannot uncreate himself. Instead, he used the title Elyon, which emphasizes God as the possessor of heaven and earth. Lucifer wanted the authority of God without the character of God. He wanted to run the universe his way without answering to anyone. This is the sin of autonomy. This is the root of all sin, the belief that you can exist and flourish independently from your source. And with that thought, the first lie was born. Lucifer turned to the hosts of heaven. He spread his campaign of discontent. He promised them power. He promised them freedom from the tyranny of the absolute. And tragically, the scriptures say a third of the stars of heaven were swept away by his tail. War broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. This was not a physical war of swords and shields. This was a war of truth against lies, a war of authority. Lucifer, now the adversary, threw everything he had at the throne. But he made a fatal miscalculation. He forgot that he was a created being. You cannot fight the one who holds the atoms of your existence together. It was not a long battle. It was an eviction. Jesus described it in a single sentence. I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. He was cast out. The morning star became Satan, the accuser. The covering cherub became the destroyer. He was thrown down to the earth, filled with wrath, knowing that his time was short. He is no longer the beautiful reflection of God. He is now the Lord of the flies, the prince of the power of the air. But do not be mistaken. He did not lose his power. He lost his position. He retains his wisdom, but it is corrupted. He retains his influence, but it is used to devour. His goal has not changed since that first whisper in the dark. He still wants to be like the Most High. And since he cannot strike God, he strikes the only thing that looks like God, you. The fall of Lucifer serves as the ultimate warning to the human soul. It teaches us that you can have all the beauty, all the wisdom, and all the status in the world. But if you let pride take the throne of your heart, you will fall. The story of Lucifer is the story of a creature who tried to become a creator. It is the tragedy of wasted glory. There are only two paths in the universe: the path of the morning star who said, I will, and fell, and the path of the Son of Man who said, not my will, but yours be done, and rose. Which path are you walking?